Hello there guys, and welcome back to the channel. So in today's video we're going to be talking about Hulkling and Wiccan balancing follow-up. And too long, don't want to watch the entire video, is Hulkling is not getting tuned down, but quite surprisingly Wiccan is. And it has to do with kind of like a busted bonkers rotation that most people didn't know about. And truth to be told, it's also not extremely accessible or relevant, so honestly, I don't mind that they are changing Wiccan personally. I do think it's kind of ironic that, they touted that we're going to have more tune-ups than tune-downs, but so far the only change we're actually getting is tune-down on a champion that didn't feel particularly overpowered in the game, and if anything, I would have expected him to get a kind of a tune-up, make him a bit bulkier, but here we are. So they are basically happy with Wiccan. Sorry, basically happy with Hulkling and Wiccan, but there is one rotation for Wiccan. Again, I'm not too bothered about this change personally, because that rotation is unrealistic. It takes ages to set up, and it maybe would have come in handy in like one of a million cases at some point in future in some content. But as far at the moment, I don't think there is any place in a game where you would really want to try and set it up. I will showcase it, however. But on top of that, we are getting a value buff for Iron Man Infinity War, which is kind of cool, which is a champion that I personally like a lot. I think Iron Man Infinity War is a very, very cool character, obviously defensive powerhouse, but offensively he does have quite a lot of utility. The problem is that he's just kind of too slow, and in order to run him properly, you need a large helpful opponent and some synergies. So hopefully this tune-up to Iron Man Infinity War makes him more offensively viable character, and I'm quite happy with that. Right, as I mentioned, I'm going to show you guys what that Wiccan's rotation is and how it looks like. Keep in mind, this is a very long video, and I'm going to be kind of fast-forwarding through it. But the base point is that you can keep stacking your power gains with your level 1. And that's about it. And it does take a long time to set up. So the first Labyrinth of Legends timer, I believe, is something around 5 or 6 minutes. So you can see that at this point still I'm kind of setting up. Okay, I'm at like 40 of my power gains here, and you can see them finally kind of starting to make impact. At some point I also threw my level 2, so I have some shocks that are consistently getting paused. So I am doing some damage over time. But in pretty much any situation where you would want to use Wiccan, you don't even really want to do this to begin with, because you can finish fights out much quicker. And it, again, is not an easy thing to set up. I had to try several times to kind of like make sure I maintain all my power gains. Opponent's kind of cooperative. Once you are fully set up though, it gets busted. It gets to a point where opponent can't do anything, and you just spam special button, and that's it. Because even reacting, it's kind of to do with Wiccan's animations as well, but the base idea is that opponents can't even shoot off their special 3 or anything really. So here I'm still at like 43 because I did drop some, but that's fine. At the same time, I'm about to get that power efficiency buff that's going to help me with spamming level 1s, and you can just spam level 1s. We're getting up to 45. You can see that 47 of these, and I can just drop level 1 after level 1 after level 1, and there is nothing Starlord really can do. At this point, I'm still kind of letting him use his specials, but I really don't even have to do that. I can just keep tapping my special button, and this is going to be the same thing that happens. I'm back up to 55. Obviously, level 1 also gives me regeneration for like any chip damage, and this is kind of like the life there. Unfortunately, here he doesn't seem to want to attack me, so I wasted a couple of level 1s, but it still pauses the game, it still does damage, and that is what Kabam's changing. And again, it took like 5 minutes to set this up, and that is something you would pretty much never do anyways. I mean, it's fun, it's cool, but I'm okay with it not being a part of the game. So what are they changing to Wiccan? It is that they are just putting a limit of 10 to his power gains, and that is about it. I believe it's going to be max stack limit of 10. And again, in vast majority of the fights, you're not even really stacking these power gains to begin with. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Ultimately, the important thing is Hulkling is not getting tuned down, which again is what most people kind of worried about. Wiccan, surprisingly, turns out does have an OP game abusing mechanic, but if anything, I kind of hope that they would genuinely buff Wiccan up, because I do have a rank 3 Wiccan. I think he's a very cool character, but I think he's a bit too niche and a bit too squishy. But that being said, on the bright side, we are getting Iron Man Infinity War buff, which I'm very much so looking forward to. It's going to be a value buff, increasing his attacking loops. They still want to make, they basically want to make him usable in battlegrounds, is what they say. As a champion that's always been defender first, we're looking to keep that identity while also making his attacker loops feel more accessible, so he can be a serviceable option, especially in battlegrounds. Even if he's on the slower side, look forward to longer plasma and incinerates, easier access to stun on his special 2, and more. So I'm quite pleased with that. I hope they're going to give him a way to access plasma slightly earlier, but even so, by the sound of it, longer incinerate and longer plasma does kind of sound that he's going to basically have that stealth suit Spidey synergy built in, which already is like a massive deal for Iron Man. And that is all going to live with the January release? Yes. So we're going to have to wait a bit. So Wiccan still is going to maintain this thing for about 3 months or so. There is going to be beta at some point where we're going to test out the changes we want, and then with the changes, then we'll be hitting the Battle Realm with the January update, which is closer than it might seem, because it's only November and December updates left after this one. So in less than 3 months, we're going to have these changes live in the game. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I know some people are trying to make a very big deal of it, but I think that's just kind of being spiteful. Like, realistically, this change to Wiccan, again, pretty much nobody knew this rotation. This rotation doesn't really matter in like 99.99999 something scenarios. And, you know, if you're upset about it, it's probably just more about the outlook of it rather than the content of it, because these type of things, you know, I don't think have to be in game. I don't think they're relevant. It's not like we're losing something like Ronin cheese or something of the sorts. This is very impractical to set up, and it is kind of busted. And yeah, I genuinely am not even upset. Only thing from this post that I wish to be different is that, you know, they might have given Wiccan other abilities a little bit of a tune-up. That's about it. Let me know what you guys think about this whole situation, and I'm gonna catch you guys later. See ya. Hello there guys, and welcome back to the channel. So we have all the information about the